Welcome back, everyone. We are diving deep today, deep into the uh, the potential impact of Donald Trump's return to the presidency.
Yeah.
And, you know, our sources today, it's fascinating. They're giving us like a glimpse into how different countries are reacting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's whispers of potential peace deals,
Right.
and we're also seeing this surge in European defense initiatives.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like watching, a geopolitical chess game just unfold in real time.
It really is. And makes it even more compelling is we're not dealing with speculation here.
Right.
We actually have insights from experts who observed Trump's first term
Right.
firsthand, and they're now analyzing these early signals from world leaders.
Yeah, so let's get right into it. The first major development, and this one hits close to home.
Right.
The situation in Ukraine, it seems, is already being reshaped by Trump's victory.
Yeah.
Newly elected Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, has rejected President Biden's request for additional aid to Ukraine. Sources are directly linking this decision to Trump's anticipated influence, even though, he hasn't even been inaugurated yet.
Well, and this move shouldn't come as a complete surprise.
Right.
If we look back at some of Trump's previous statements, he's expressed skepticism about the extent of U.S. involvement in the conflict.
Oh.
Couple that with his, seemingly amicable relationship with Putin.
Right.
And you can start to see how this might signal a significant shift in U.S. foreign policy towards Ukraine.
Okay, so we've got aid being cut,
Yeah.
but then on the other hand, there's also this talk of peace talks between Russia and Ukraine gaining momentum.
Right.
Former Trump administration officials are suggesting that things are moving behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Even hinting at Ukrainian officials meeting with Trump's transition team.
Interesting.
Is there any substance to these claims? Or is this just political maneuvering?
It's certainly worth paying attention to.
Okay.
You see, during his first term, Trump often emphasized direct negotiations, deal-making as his preferred approach to foreign policy.
Right.
Now, while this perceived unpredictability, it worried allies,
Yeah.
it could be seen as a strategic asset in this scenario.
Okay.
It creates a certain leverage in negotiations,
Interesting.
especially with someone like Putin.
So are we saying that Trump's perceived strength on the world stage,
Well,
the same trait that often drew criticism,
yeah,
could actually be the key to unlocking a resolution in Ukraine?
potentially.
That's a pretty bold claim.
Well, it's not without its complexities.
Right.
We have to consider the potential downsides as well.
Okay.
If Trump is perceived as too accommodating to Russia, it could embolden further aggression
Right.
and destabilize the region even more.
So Ukraine is a powder keg.
Yeah.
Potential for both conflict and resolution.
Sure.
What about Europe?
Yeah.
They haven't exactly been Trump's biggest fans,
Right.
but it seems his influence is being felt there as well. The Financial Times is reporting that the European Union is considering issuing defense bonds. This is a major development with potentially far-reaching implications.
It is.
Hold on.
Sure.
For those of us who aren't finance whizzes, what exactly are defense bonds?
Sure.
And why is this such a big deal?
So essentially, defense bonds are a way for the EU to raise capital,
Okay.
specifically for military spending.
I see.
It's a significant step towards greater military autonomy for Europe.
Okay.
Now, our source connects us directly to Trump's consistent pressure on Europe to increase its defense spending.
Right.
He's argued for years that they've been relying too heavily on the U.S. for their security.
So is this a case of Trump's America First approach inadvertently leading to a more independent Europe?
Potentially.
That's kind of an ironic twist.
It is, yeah. And if it plays out that way, the implications are huge.
Okay.
A more militarily independent Europe could reshape the transatlantic alliance
Right.
and potentially create a more multipolar world order.
So a shift in the balance of power globally.
Exactly.
Wow. So Trump's legacy might be a more independent Europe,
Yeah.
even if it wasn't his intended outcome.
Right.
Let's shift gears now.
Okay.
Trump's influence isn't limited to Europe.
Right.
His return is also sending ripples through the Middle East, particularly in the ongoing conflict in Gaza.
Yeah, we're seeing reports of Trump's Middle East envoys actively pushing for a ceasefire in Gaza before his inauguration. And this isn't just diplomatic maneuvering.
Okay.
There are claims that his recent comments on Truth Social about hostages being held in the region are playing a role.
Wait, are you saying Trump's social media posts are influencing international diplomacy?
It seems so.
That seems like a new level of
Yeah.
unorthodox statecraft.
It's certainly unprecedented.
Okay.
And the source even draws a parallel to the ceasefire in Lebanon.
Mm-hmm.
That occurred shortly after Trump's first election victory in 2016. It raises interesting questions about how his persona, his perceived willingness to use force, factors into his Middle East diplomacy.
So this all points to a pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Trump's return is shaking things up,
Yeah.
whether it's through direct policy shifts or the ripple effect of his personality and rhetoric.
Right.
But what about the bigger picture?
Yeah.
How is this impacting the global political landscape as a whole?
Well,
This is where I think things get really fascinating.
what's particularly intriguing is this observation that the political fortunes of various world leaders
Okay.
seem to be connected to their stance on Trump.
Interesting.
Leaders who were openly critical of him during his first term are facing challenges, while those who maintained a good relationship are faring better.
Right. We've seen the French government collapse.
Yeah.
The prime minister ousted in a no-confidence vote.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have leaders like Justin Trudeau in Canada
Yeah.
and Angela Merkel in Germany, both of whom openly clashed with Trump.
The source points out that both Trudeau and Merkel's parties have faced significant challenges since then. On the other hand, leaders who maintained a good relationship with Trump, like Narendra Modi in India and Benjamin Netanyahu in Israel, seem to be in a stronger position.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder if there's a correlation there.
Yeah.
Is Trump's brand of politics going global?
That's a question worth exploring.
Yeah.
But to understand that, we need to define what exactly constitutes Trump's brand of politics. Is it populism,
Right.
nationalism,
Yeah.
a rejection of globalism, or perhaps a combination of all these factors?
Right.
And if this style of politics is indeed gaining traction globally,
Yeah.
what are the long-term implications?
So we've got Ukraine on the brink,
Yeah.
a potentially more independent Europe,
Right?
a volatile Middle East, and this intriguing trend with global leaders?
Yeah.
What does it all mean?
Well,
Is Trump's return creating a new world order? That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
and if so,
Yeah.
what are its defining features?
And I think we're only just beginning to see the contours of this new landscape take shape. It certainly has the potential to be a defining period in global affairs.
Yeah.
What we're witnessing is a reassessment of alliances.
Okay.
You know, a questioning of traditional power structures.
Right.
And this resurgence of nationalist sentiments.
It feels like we're at a crossroads
Yeah.
with multiple paths opening up before us. And the choices that countries make now,
Right.
the alliances they forge or break, will have this ripple effect across the globe for years to come.
Yeah. And amidst all this uncertainty, one thing is becoming increasingly clear.
What's that?
Trump's return has emboldened certain leaders and movements around the world share his, populist, anti-establishment views.
Can you give us some specific examples?
Sure.
I'm curious to see how this is playing out beyond the headlines.
Well, look at the rise of far-right parties in Europe, many of whom have openly praised Trump's policies and rhetoric,
Right.
or consider the leaders who have adopted similar strategies, strongman tactics, a disdain for traditional media,
Okay.
and this focus on nationalist agendas.
Right.
They see Trump's victory as a validation of their own approach.
So it's not just about Trump himself,
No.
but about a particular style of politics, a way of wielding power that seems to be resonating in different parts of the world.
Exactly. And this has the potential to reshape the very fabric of international relations.
Right.
You know, it raises questions about how countries will interact with each other,
Right.
how they'll approach issues like trade and immigration,
Yeah.
and even how they define their own national interests.
We're already seeing this play out in the economic realm with countries rethinking their trade relationships
Right.
and exploring, more protectionist policies.
Yeah, it's almost like a retreat from globalization,
Right.
a move towards a more fragmented world.
And this trend towards economic nationalism, could have significant implications for globalization
Absolutely.
and the interconnectedness of the world economy.
For sure.
Supply chains,
Yeah.
international agreements,
Yeah.
even the flow of information could be disrupted.
It's a possibility.
And it's not just governments and institutions feeling the impact.
No.
This shift in the global landscape is also affecting individuals
Right.
on a personal level.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine there's a lot of anxiety
Oh,
and
yeah.
uncertainty right now.
Absolutely. People are feeling anxious about the potential for conflict,
Right.
questioning their own place in the world,
Yeah.
grappling with a sense that things are fundamentally changing and not necessarily for the better.
It can feel overwhelming,
Yeah,
almost paralyzing.
for sure.
So where do we go from here?
Right.
How do we navigate this new reality? What can we do to feel empowered rather than helpless?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? But I think one of the most important things we can do is stay informed, engage in constructive dialogue,
Right.
and try to understand the different perspectives at play.
It's about moving beyond the headlines,
Yeah.
digging deeper, and engaging with the nuances of this changing world.
Right.
We need to resist the temptation to oversimplify
Yeah.
or retreat into our own echo chambers.
Precisely. We need to develop a new kind of global literacy.
Okay.
One that equips us to understand these complex dynamics, to recognize the interconnectedness of events,
Right.
and to make informed decisions.
And that starts with recognizing that there isn't a single right answer.
Yeah.
There are multiple perspectives,
Right.
each with its own set of values and priorities.
Exactly. And by listening to those different perspectives,
Okay.
we can begin to build bridges of understanding
Yeah.
and find common ground, even amidst disagreement.
I think that's such an important point.
Yeah.
Because ultimately we're all in this together, right?
Yep.
We share this planet. And our destinies are intertwined.
Right.
The choices we make,
Yeah.
the actions we take, they have consequences that extend far beyond ourselves.
Absolutely. And as we move forward, it's essential to remember that
Okay.
we need to find ways to cooperate, to address shared challenges like climate change and economic inequality,
Right.
and to build a more sustainable and equitable future for all.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah.
From the immediate impact of Trump's return to the broader implications for the global order, we've explored the reshaping of alliances,
Right.
the rise of economic nationalism,
Yeah,
and the anxieties and uncertainties that many people are feeling.
for sure.
But before we wrap up, I want to circle back to something you said earlier
Okay.
about individual empowerment.
Yes, I believe that in times of uncertainty and change, it's more important than ever for individuals to engage with the world around them,
Okay.
to stay informed,
Right.
and to use their voices to shape the future.
So what does that look like in practice?
Yeah.
What can our listeners do to make a difference?
Sure.
It's easy to feel powerless in the face of these global shifts.
Well, it starts with education.
Okay.
Read widely, listen to different perspectives, and challenge your own assumptions.
Right.
Engage in conversations with people who hold different views. Don't just stay in your own echo chamber.
Yeah.
Get out there and expose yourself to new ideas.
And once you've expanded your understanding, take action. Support organizations that are working to address the issues you care about.
Right.
Get involved in local initiatives.
Yeah.
Vote in elections.
Absolutely.
Contact your elected officials. Use your voice to advocate for change.
It's about recognizing that we're not just passive observers.
Right.
We have agency. We can make choices that ripple outwards, influencing our communities and the world at large.
Absolutely. And that brings us to the heart of this deep dive. You know, we've explored the global tremors caused by Trump's return, the power shifts, the anxieties. But what does it all mean for you, the listener?
Yeah.
How do you navigate this new world order that seems to be taking shape?
This is where it becomes intensely personal.
Okay.
You know, we can analyze geopolitical trends all day long.
Right.
But the real question is, how does this impact your life, your choices, your future?
Right. It's easy to get caught up in the headlines and feel overwhelmed by the sheer scale of these global events. But you're right. We can't lose sight of the individual.
Right.
What practical steps can listeners take to, adjust their sails in this global storm, so to speak?
Well, first, it's about awareness.
Okay.
Stay informed about global events. Yes, but also pay attention to how those events are impacting your local community, your industry,
Right.
your personal life.
So connect the global to the local.
Exactly. Don't just consume news passively. Actively seek out information and perspectives that help you understand the ripple effects of these global changes.
So it's not just about understanding the big picture,
No.
but also about recognizing how those global shifts translate into tangible changes in our own lives.
Right.
It's about connecting the dots.
Exactly. And once you've done that,
Okay.
consider your own values and priorities. What kind of world do you want to live in?
Right.
What role do you want to play in shaping that world?
It's about moving beyond simply reacting to events
Yeah.
and becoming more proactive,
Mm-hmm.
taking ownership of our role in this changing landscape.
Right.
We have more power than we often realize.
Precisely. And that might mean supporting local businesses,
Okay.
getting involved in community
Oh,
initiatives, advocating for policies that align with your values,
right.
or even just having more thoughtful conversations with friends and family about these issues.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that even small actions can create a ripple effect.
I love that image of creating ripples.
Yeah,
It reminds us that we're not powerless.
right.
Each choice we make, each action we take,
Mm,
can contribute to a larger wave of change.
absolutely. And as more individuals start making conscious choices,
Yeah.
those ripples can turn into waves
Mhm.
and ultimately a tide of change.
So in a world where Trump's return has shaken up the global order,
Yeah.
the power to navigate the storm might lie within each of us.
Indeed, the future is not predetermined.
Okay.
It is shaped by the choices we make today.
Right.
And the more informed, engaged, and active we are,
Mhm.
the better equipped we'll be to chart a course towards a future we can all believe in.
Wow. That's an inspiring thought to end on.
Yeah.
Thank you for guiding us through this complex and often turbulent landscape.
It's been my pleasure.
It's been an eye-opening conversation.
I always enjoy these conversations with you.
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, stay curious, stay informed, and stay engaged. The world needs your voice and your actions, now more than ever.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.
We'll see you on the next deep dive.